The floor is yours.
To say that it was a sheer pleasure to see you dancing, not in reality, unfortunately, but such a firework of joy. And I don't know, the person who spoke about you said that there's no, there were real expressions. So, and I could see that because of some experience with technical images, like it translated very well to me. So that was very impressive, and I'm deeply moved by that. So I'm not, to be honest, I've never spoken in a kind of an environment like this with many Portuguese names and functions. So first of all, I wanted to thank everybody. This was an amazing speech. You always very good. Thank you to the jury and to the Minister of Culture, and so thank you very much. I want to thankful to you that I don't have to say anything about my work so precisely. The only thing I wanted to tell everybody that the museum photographs really started during the time when museums began to feel like train stations in terms of the amount of people that were there. I grew up in nearby Cologne, and I was a constant visitor of the Museum Ludwig at the time, which was very important for me. But in most of the afternoons I was there. I was one of maybe 30 people in the entire museum, and that changed very radical. And I had the feeling that people look at artworks somehow with too much respect. They don't relate what the works, what's embedded in the works to their own lives. So there's too much of a distance in this. And so the museum photographs were initially really meant as an advertising campaign for spontaneous use of what you look at. So and not and just take what you're interested in and relate it to your own life. Anyway, I wrote something which I'm going to read. I'm touched, honored, and grateful to receive this award for my contribution to European culture. It came both as a complete surprise to me, but also, with all due respect, seemed to make sense, because my desire to advertise for curiosity, awareness, differentiation, and respect for the other has accompanied my artistic endeavor from an early age. How did it get there? Where do I come from? My sister, my brother, and I grew up as post-war German citizens in Düsseldorf and nearby Cologne. All of us born in the mid to late 50s, just a few years after liberation. Our parents were born in 1919 and 1926. Our grandparents in 1890 and 1899, which somehow continues to surprise me. I'm 70 years old. I just turned 70 2 weeks ago, but it's still, I feel still very young inside. My father was drafted to the army in 1938 and was part of the invasion of France and Russia, where he almost died twice. As I understood it, because of this personal trauma, he certainly felt, but never really admitted to us, his sorrow for the fate of millions killed by Nazi Germany. His soldier album of photographs and other family album pictures kept me disturbed and at the same time fascinated in search for truth and reason of who we and I had become and why. It made me realize how photographs can speak of truth in general, even though not literal. It helped me to trust and become friendly with the medium when I had started to quit painting in 1976. Our mother was a talented ceramist and loved the arts and supported me simply by enjoying what I did. During high school, I noticed that I was not made for a profession in which somebody else would command me what to do. I was searching for something unburdened, uncompromised and free, and found my air to breathe in art and music. In art, I delved into everything between Impressionism and pop art, enjoying the privilege to live not too far from the Museum Ludwig in Cologne, where I visited regularly. I started to paint and draw at age 15. In music, it was jazz, its powerful freedom and genius of improvisation. Miles Davis, Cannonball Adderley, the multinational Kenny Clarke Francis Ballon Big Band, and the pop music of the 60s and 70s. Trying to quickly get my hands on new releases by the Beatles, the Stones, the Cream, the Kings, and the Who. I played in our school jazz band and later as a drummer in an artist band in Düsseldorf. I was sometimes mocked as being an idealist, but how can we live if not as idealists, or at least with some kind of basic optimism? On March 1st, 1972, the Interrail ticket was issued by the European Railway Association to celebrate their 50th anniversary. It enabled people under 21 years of age to unlimited travel everywhere in Western Europe for 4 weeks. This included 20 countries. 87,000 tickets were issued in its first year. I was 17 years old at the time and took the chance. 4 friends and I traveled from Cologne en route to Amsterdam, Paris, Lyon, Venice, Trieste, Belgrade, and Athens. We occupied 1 or 2 compartments on the train and slept through the night to the rattling sound of the tracks, only woken up by passport controls. Arriving in a different town of another European country in the early hours of the next day. It was exciting, to say the least. We met countless other young people of different nationalities, slept on campgrounds or in our sleeping bags outside, under trees, on the side of farmland, in front of railway stations, without fear. Europe became literally our living room. An atmosphere of trust was in the air and of an optimistic future. After 4 days on a camping ground in Athens, we decided to split. With one of the others, I boarded a train to Istanbul the next day. The journey took 33 hours, which was kind of amazing because from when we left Athens, there were 2 steam engines in front, and sometimes the train just stopped in the middle of nowhere, and farmers came to sell fruit and vegetables and whatnot to the passengers on the train. And then about maybe 15 miles before Istanbul, they removed the steam engines and put the most recent electric locomotive. But it was a very, very different time. I mean, I'll continue. Where was I? Could I have some water, please? Oh, great. Sorry. So the other 3 members of our group left for the south of France, for Spain and Portugal. Mine's are sweet. That's okay. Thank you. The other 3 members of our group left for the south of France, for Spain and Portugal, agreeing that we would meet, that we would rejoin 12 days later, thank you, in Nice, which we actually did. I cannot recall how we managed to do this because there was no internet, no mobile phones, no postal address, which would have helped us to announce a change of schedule or receive mail, but we did. It was my first deeply positive experience of being a European citizen. It was really something where you just could go everywhere and you meet similar people, you met very different people, and the countries were very, very, very different. There were no companies or shops that were the same in every big town. It was really an experience I will be forever thankful. During the summer of 1984, 40 years ago, I visited Portugal for the first time. My girlfriend and I arrived from the northeast corner of Spain by car with a stopover in Bilbao, a dirty steel production town, then to Porto Aveiro and a brief visit to Lisbon. Then, a mere 10 years after the turn to democratically elected government, our weeks in Portugal were blessed with a series of sudden invitations from locals to join them for lunch with delicious food and wine. Even calling their friends who had once worked in Germany to come and join us to translate was something we experienced several times. We had an unforgettable time. That the Portuguese are the friendliest Europeans imaginable has been my common answer when non-Europeans ask me general questions about our continent and its people. Through these experiences, it occurred to me early on how important it is to learn and recognize history as the ground one stands on. This was the original impetus for the foundation of the EG and the European Union. Let's not forget it. The photographs you see as I speak seem to suggest an inner logic arching across the different bodies of work I did in the course of almost 50 years. However, at the beginning of each of them, I was first motivated by intuition, by both my own experiences as an individual, as a citizen with open eyes and an open heart, as much as the desire to speak about these elements of our reality in a category of common ground, to highlight how these phenomena entangle and impact all of us one way or another. The influence of the collective unconscious on architecture, the relationships within the nuclear family, the museum as an opportunity to locate yourself in history, identification and unreservedness, the promises of technological development, and the belief in progress are themes that have preoccupied me during the different stages of my work and still do. What am I concerned about in the light of the wars in our vicinity and the rapid technological advancements? That our peaceful coexistence will be at peril through self-righteousness, greed, religious fanatism, and authoritarian structures. That technological progress will continue to outspeed the jurisdiction as it has increasingly in the past decades, and that the distractions of the digital world will compromise our intelligence. That we don't find ways on both sides to mitigate the life circumstances of millions of people who seek a refuge. And in my field of work, that the arts could lose importance due to overproduction and historical ignorance. Let us always remember the original impulses for the foundation of the United Nations and the European Union to help us live in peaceful coexistence. The difference of cultures should not be ignored. They are part of the joy to live on this planet, and we do not have another one. Let me finish again with expressing my deep gratitude and my joy and honored to the Centro Nacional de Cultura, to the jury members of this award, and also to Europa Nostra and the Portuguese Press Club, and those who support the award for recognizing my work. And I also would like again to congratulate you for your fabulous work and your unique stance in this. It's really amazing. Thank you very much. Pressure on you, both because of the technology about Instagram, these tools here, and it's that's why I included these two pictures with a large format camera and me, because this was the practice maybe until 5 or 6 years ago, where traveling with this equipment really meant it's 5 cases or 7 cases, and it's a difficult thing to load the sheet film at night in the hotel in total darkness, and then bring it back, put it back, exchange it, put it in a sealed box, and make sure that you bring it home to the lab to get developed and get to the airport and all these things. Nowadays, that's very different. It's a large digital camera, which changes a lot. It's much easier. It's one case and a tripod, and it doesn't need, it doesn't, but then you have nothing physical in your hand. It's just a file on the computer, and it's a different thing also, because you don't, the time you spend on location is somehow less, and I'm happy that I don't start with digital. I'm not a young photographer, that I have the experience of 50 years with large format, which requires a lot of time and a lot of looking before you set it up anywhere. So thank you very much again.